All right, all right, all right. Let me get right to it here, folks, so that we can get going on what we have going on today. Man, a lot of people trying to get into the meeting and non-school emails. So today is December 17th. I should probably present my screen. That'd be a good idea. Today is December 17th. What we are going to be doing today is we're going to start off with a little term review. We are going to play a little Quizlet Live. We'll play 3 rounds of that. I am going to talk for about a minute and a half about John Brown, and then we're going to watch a 6-minute video on the John Brown raid at Harper's Ferry. Then we are going to see how to find out where our Flipgrid feedback is, because that's not the most obvious thing. Once you see it, it's pretty easy to figure out where to go. And then lastly, we're going to finish out last part of the hour with your Civil War lecture part 1, which is a play posit. Guys, it's like a 20-minute lecture that I do, and I only ask like 3 questions on the play posit, so it should be relatively painless for you to do. So that's what we got going on today. So without further ado, let's do this first. Here's some updates in the course. Now, as you guys can see here on the right-hand side, you've got some due dates that you need to pay attention to. Number 1, the foreign policy folder is closing. It is going bye-bye after tomorrow. So if there's any assignment that you need to complete, you're going to need to email it to me after that folder is closed, because the folder is going bye-bye. And like I said, if you haven't taken that quiz, that needs to happen by tomorrow, okay? Civil War term quiz coming up for you guys on Tuesday of next week. And then your Civil War lecture play posit is due next week, as well as your Flipgrid response. I think there's about 4 or 5 out of this class that have submitted a response so far. And for the most part, everybody has gotten all but full credit on those. Maybe a point off or 2 here or there, but the responses thus far have been awesome. So let's all go to let's all go to Quizlet.live right now. Quizlet.live right now. And we are going to have this code up here momentarily. There's your code, 840643. Let me just sneak over to see how many we have. Okay, so we need about 21 or so. Give you about 20 more seconds, then we're going to go with this thing.
Is there no Mr. Winters today?
Yeah, I don't know where he is.
Probably stacking off. Probably playing video games or something.
Jeez.
Betty playing Fortnite.
All right, here we go. Let's give it a shot here. First round. And there. We lost Kobe. You can re-enter that code right over here, Kobe. And they're racing. All right. And they're racing round 2. Wow. Morgan's not going to let anybody else play. Here we go. Round 3. This one's for all the Tostitos, and they're racing. Alligator's going to be able to catch kangaroos this time. Oh, Morgan, what a bully. All right. Here we go, folks. So right back into it here. Let's talk a little bit about John Brown. Now, those of you that have me in U.S. History A probably remember me talking about John Brown for just a little bit. We did spend a little time discussing this because this played right into our discussion on slavery perspectives, our discussion about how people viewed slavery. Either they were on the abolitionist side, or they were on the preserved slavery side. Okay. Well, John Brown was kind of off the chart radical. Okay. He was an Old Testament guy. He believed that he believed in a vengeful God. And he believed that if we didn't right the wrong of slavery on this earth and convince people to change this now, that we were all going to hell for this. Okay, he was a very hard person to get along with because of the fact that he was so radical. Okay, he was a very radical guy. In fact, one of the first incidents that he becomes known for is where he and his family members decide to hack apart a group of pro-slavery advocates in what was called the Pottawatomie Creek Massacre. And he did it with broadswords. So he is a very wrath of God type of guy. The reason that we're talking about John Brown, though, is that because he is still relatively controversial even today. They will hold ceremonies in upstate New York commemorating what John Brown did. And in other parts of the United States, they still look at him as a terrorist. So we're going to watch a quick video here. This is going to take about 6 minutes. And then from here, I'll shut up. How's that? Mr. Winters, everybody missed you.
Thank you.
Not me, but other people were worried about you.
I did do my best to get here as fast as I could.
The father of American terrorism. An inspiration for the civil rights movement. madman or martyr, murderer or hero. John Brown's Holy War.
On Sunday evening, October 16, 1859, the radical abolitionist John Brown led 5 blacks and 13 whites into Harper's Ferry, Virginia. He brought along a wagon load of guns to arm the slaves he was sure would rally to him. Once they had, he planned to lead them southward along the crest of the Appalachians and destroy slavery. Brown was an inept businessman who had failed 20 times in 6 states and defaulted on his debts. Yet he believed himself God's agent on earth. In 1856, at Pottawatomie Creek in Kansas, he and his sons had hacked 5 pro-slavery men to death with broadswords, all in the name of defeating Satan and his legions. Brown and his men quietly seized the armory, arsenal, and engine house and took up hostages, including George Washington's great-grandnephew. After that, nothing went right. The first person killed was the town baggage master, a free black. The slaves did not rise up. Angry townspeople did. The first of Brown's followers to fall was Dangerfield Newby, a former slave. Someone in the crowd cut off his ears as souvenirs. On Tuesday morning, federal troops arrived from Washington, led by a U.S. Army Colonel, Robert E. Lee. Lee's men stormed the engine house, and 9 more of Brown's men were killed, including 2 of his sons. Brown, severely wounded, was turned over to Virginia to be tried for treason.
In firing his gun, John Brown has merely told what time of day it is. It is high noon. Thank God. William Lloyd Garrison.
An undivided South says, let him hang. Albany, Georgia Patriot.
Virginia found Brown guilty and sentenced him to death. Among the troops at the scene of his hanging were cadets from the Virginia Military Institute, led by an eccentric professor, Thomas J. Jackson. Also there was a private in the Richmond Greys, a young actor named John Wilkes Booth.
December 2nd, 1859. Old John Brown has been executed for treason against a state. We cannot object, even though he agreed with us in thinking slavery wrong. That cannot excuse violence, bloodshed, and treason. It could avail him nothing that he might think himself right. Abraham Lincoln.
Ralph Waldo Emerson likened Brown to Christ. Nathaniel Hawthorne declared, "No man ever more justly hanged." And Herman Melville called him the meteor of the war. Brown had said nothing from the gallows, but he did hand one of his guards a note.
I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away but with blood.
His zeal in the cause of freedom was infinitely superior to mine. Mine was as the taper light. His was as the burning sun. I could live for the slave. John Brown could die for him.
And that's really the tough part about John Brown, is what to make of him. And historians will still disagree even till this day about what to make of him. Even back then, like if you notice from the video, people likened him to Christ, whereas others likened him to, a terrorist. Okay? He struck fear throughout the South. And there was a very long process from when he was sentenced to when he was actually, when he was given his sentence to where that was laid out. So he was in prison for weeks, and I could just imagine him seeing the terror that he had caused in newspapers throughout the United States. When they went and raided his house, they ended up finding all of these maps. They had these. He had made these elaborate maps of different parts of the South that hadn't even been like laid out with a cartographer yet. Like he had maps of Alabama. Nobody had maps of Alabama at that stage of the game. Okay? But he did, and he had every plantation that he was going to raid step by step. And when they published these in newspapers, it scared the bejesus out of the entire country. Okay. And whereas in the North, he was made into a martyr, and he still is celebrated as a martyr today. So it just kind of also shows you the difference between a freedom fighter and a terrorist is the perspective, is the eye of the beholder. And the other reason I like showing that video is to show kind of what a small world it was even back then, to see that General Jackson, to see that Robert E. Lee, to see that all of these people were partaking in that single event, relatives of Washington, all of that stuff, all real tightly knit and really connected, even in John Brown's Harper Ferry raid. So anyway, I think I've talked at you enough here. Here's what I want to do next, folks. I want to show you how you can get to your Flipgrid feedback. Now, why is this important here, folks? Because you can always resubmit your Flipgrid for full credit. And it's tough to do if you don't get that Flipgrid feedback. So if you click on this video, you can watch to see how to do that. But I'll tell you right now, it's a friggin' 20-second video, and you don't really even have to watch the whole thing to get the gist of it. All you have to do is go to myflipgrid.com. That's myflipgrid.com. Okay. It'll log you. If you're logged into your school Google account, you'll be able to see what you've submitted and see your Flipgrid feedback. Now, I've offered feedback to everybody in this class that has submitted one, unless you submitted it somehow in one of the other grids and it's under the underclass and I just haven't seen it yet. But there's two reasons to go here. Number one is to see the feedback. Number two is to see that it is actually submitted, because I know some of you, for some of you, that was an issue. Like, I can't really see on the app if I've submitted it. Well, if you go to myflipgrid.com, you're going to be able to see that there. So yeah, that's what we have. Essentially, that's what we were supposed to cover today. Mr. Winters, is there anything that you know what I need to do? I'm going to reshare my screen and make sure that we're all on the same page with this. I think I talked about this, right? You guys saw that this foreign policy folder is closing. I did talk about that before. I did talk about these due dates. All right.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry, when I've got multiple classes of these a day, I kind of forget what I have and haven't talked about. So that's that. So here's what I want you to do now, folks. I want you to go down to Division and Civil War, and then that activities folder, click and get going on this play posit. Like I said, it's 20 minutes long, and there's only 3 questions for you to answer there. Okay, so it'll be pretty easy for me to see whether or not you completed this thing. And it's due, as you can see, okay, next Tuesday. You can knock this out and not have a whole lot of work for the weekend if you go and hammer that out right now. Anything else, Mr. Winters, for the good of the order here?
No, but some of those who are included in my Pieper help page, I did there's a little help slide if they're struggling with the Flipgrid part, so they can go to that page if they need help.
Got it. Okay. So there were a couple of you that I needed to have stick around because I wanted to talk to you about some stuff. Is Brooke here today? Brooke Muller, is she here? Don't see her.
I'm here.
Oh, you are? Oh, I didn't see. Oh, there you are. Yeah. Can you stick around? Letitia I talked to and Braden I talked to. I just want to check in with you guys. Otherwise, the rest of you, go on and see that play posit works. If it works, you can check out and be done for the rest of the day. Okay? Assuming that you're going to get to work on it.
What's the thing that's due?
Holy buckets. Are you talking about today?
Or no, next week. The play pause it thing?
Play pause it, yep. So that's my lecture that I
Where's
did.
the question thing? What's it under?
Civil War activities, play pause.
Yep, in there.
Okay.
And then what's it
All right.
called?
Called
within the play pause it.
Okay.
Do they have to answer within the play pause it?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
All right. Letitia, I see that you are missing your first quiz, that foreign policy quiz. I want you to go on and take that sometime today because that folder is closing. Okay. Braden, you're here? Braden, you are missing both. So I want you to at least start with that that foreign policy terms quiz. Okay.
Okay, I will do that.
All right. And let's see. Brooke, what was it that you were missing? Brooke is missing both. So Brooke, it would be a good idea to go on and take the foreign policy term quiz now, okay?
Okay.